All right, Scott. Look at this fresh pair. NVS Fins, surfnvs.com.
Oh my, heck yes. And so many wonderful boards to put those fins in behind you too. Good for you.
I know, pretty psyched. We love them. Surfnvs.com. Grab the Apex Series fins made out of G10 laminate, which allows them to very, very finely foil the fins for maximum performance, but still maintains a ton of strength. So, problem in the past was the material was the limitation. With G10, you can make them super finely foiled, still maintain tons of strength.
Well, look, um, I have fins from all sorts of different companies as part of my job is to use everything, and I have good fins from other companies as well. But NVS, the C Drive twins are in my go-to winter board, and I have the Taylor Knox arc fins in my twin fins, and in my twinsers I have the Stu Kensons, and in my quads I have album quads, and they're all NVS. I know I do have some others. I won't bring it up during this plug for NVS, but yeah, NVS, why not?
Super reliable and inexpensive. And also, the owners of the company are directly available for you to access for insights and intel for any recommendations that you need. So that's fantastic. So go to surfnvs.com, of course, or you can get them at our retail partner, which is realwatersports.com, who just got a batch of Maurice Cole reverse V twinsers. We talk about the twinser over the last year or two. They've been in vogue, largely thanks to you in the Boardroom Show. But Maurice Cole has a reverse fee version now available at Real Watersports.
That's incredible. I just am seeing this here, and that's the last thing I need is another surfboard, but this one looks like one that I'd be very interested in. Man, you know, the one thing too about NVS, I know we're talking real water sports, but every time I mention a new board, Leif is like on it. He's like, sends me a text. He's like, which fins do you want? You know?
I know.
But the reverse V twinser, of course, look, I think they have other twinser sets besides the Stu Kenson set, but
They do.
go onto the real water, go on to NVS and go to Real Watersports. And Maurice is going to be out at the Boardroom Show this year. I just got confirmation, so pretty excited about that.
I haven't seen him in years. It's going to be so good to have him back. I last time he was here, I got a board from him, which I was going to say it's not the reverse V twinser. It was just a reverse V groveler, but one of the better short boards that I've had in the last decade. I love that board. I don't ride it enough because I don't ride short boards that much anymore. But when I do, I'm like, man, this thing is money. So I'm a big fan of Maurice's boards. So, anyways, get it all. RealWatersports.com.
As we see some movement at the takeoff zone, it's Kelly Slater grabbing right.
Yeah, guy, David Scales, Scott Bass. We are the Spit podcast. We're talking all things surf, and it is July 10th. The year's halfway over. It's incredible.
Crazy.
We're 3 months away from the Boardroom International Surfboard Show presented by US Blanks. This year, we're honoring icon of foam Eric Arakawa. We're going to have an entire hall filled with surfboard manufacturers, shapers, designers, builders, laminators, and fin people, gear, accessories, all of that stuff. Patagonia is going to be there. Patagonia is going to bring their wetsuit rehabilitation, their wetsuit repair, their mobile wetsuit repair facility on site. So just bring your wetsuit, bring your torn up wetsuit and get it fixed for free at the Boardroom Show in October.
Do they do that for free in general, or is that just for the Boardroom Show?
Go to the Boardroom Show and get it.
That's an
I really
incredible
don't know.
service.
I
If they
bet
do.
they do it for free. I really don't have the answer to that. I hate to misspeak. My sense is that they probably do. They have a 100% ironclad guarantee on their suits, and they're really, as you know, the sort of their DNA is to do things right, and just in the process of that, help the environment. So I think if they can keep wetsuits out of landfills, they will, even if it's not one of their own.
Their DNA is to not sell more gear, which is counterproductive for a clothing company. But I love it.
I know it's great. Patagonia. So they're going to be there. Of course, they'll have Wayne Lynch surfboards, Jerry Lopez surfboards, Fletcher Chenard surfboards, and a bunch of other um, kind of like heavy water gear, like inflatable vests. They're bringing. I think we're gearing up. I don't want to jinx anything, but we're going to have like a big wave gear seminar as we head into the winter season here. In 3 months, 4 months, or whatever it is.
Patagonia's also made some of the better films over the last decade in the surf space. It was, I think, kind of maybe spearheaded by the Malloys when the Malloys were involved with the company. But I always looked forward to it. They'd always be they just did a ton. I mean, I don't even need to mention them at this point, but there was just a lot of great films that they've made. So really interesting company. Glad to hear that they'll be at the Boardroom Show.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
You know,
Speaking of, yeah, I wanted to touch base on last week's show. We brought up Keith Malloy's film, and I was stumbling on the name of it or the
I watched it.
bodyboarder.
Yeah, I
Okay,
watched it.
tell the listeners a little bit. So make a correction if you would.
So, An Astronaut in the Ocean, I think is the name of the film.
Yes, yes.
So did you actually watch it?
No,
Okay.
but it's like one. It's right there at the top of my list.
Um, I forget the guy's name, Shane something.
Oh, that's what we wanted. And somebody sent it to me, so I'm looking on my thing.
I'm looking it up right now too. I'm embarrassed that I didn't know it. Funnily, there's a number of Astronaut in the Ocean YouTube videos. Shane Ackerman is the kid's name in Australia. Um, Doormat, Dick Dragger, Myrna Bird of the Sea, call bodyboarders what you want. Shane Ackerman doesn't care. Despite his lowbrow status as a bodyboarder, he feels right at home in the ocean full of surfers. Equipped with just a foam board and a pair of flippers, he charges the intimidating waves others shy away from. But unlike surfing, bodyboarding has very few fans and even fewer sponsors, so he supports himself. Shane works in the mines, and while every dollar earned is spent on his next adventure, it's a cost Shane happily pays to do what he feels most free, what makes him feel most free.
Well, that's so cool, and kudos to Keith Malloy for highlighting this incredible surfer. And this guy is an absolute charger. And you watched the film, so tell me, incredible, right?
So yeah, it is incredible. The one of the themes that I pulled from it, I think Mick Fanning might have been, they interview Fanning and Tom Carroll and a bunch of other well-known Australian surfers who have seen this guy in the lineup constantly. And one of the things he clues in on is we talk about core, quote unquote. Bodyboarders, you have to be so much core to commit to that because there is no fanfare. There's no financial potential for earning or anything like that. So even if you get into something that you love when you're young and you're not thinking about the payday, bodyboarding is something that people laugh at and make fun of. So usually people then move on to standing up on a surfboard or whatever. So in order to kind of stay a bodyboarder for a lifelong commitment, you just have to love it. You have to love it despite all of those things. And so that's what I think is most interesting about bodyboarding, the subculture of bodyboarding. And Shane exemplifies it.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I'm trying to think like the high water mark for bodyboarding as far as money and revenue and resources and media attention. And I want to say it was probably like right around 2000. Is that right, David? Do you think I'm close?
I think I've never studied it, but when I graduated high school in 99, and I think that that tracks because it was never on the same level of surfing, but they had their own media. There was a bodyboard shop in
There
Seal
was a
Beach.
tour, right? Like Bill
There was a
Stewart was one.
tour.
I mean, they were part of the Bud tour, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes sense. I would say 2000 might be the number that you could pinpoint there. But I'll be honest, it's super fun. I mean, I've never done it very seriously, but I've always had a bodyboard in my garage. And anytime I've ever ridden it, I've had tons of fun because I think the expectations are so low. On with surfing, I have a certain standard I'm trying to achieve. On a bodyboard, you're just going out to have fun, and you do. And you can almost always get barreled.
Yeah. Look, and as you know, and many of the surfers here in Southern California who grew up surfing in the 70s. We were sort of, as kids, we were throwing a boogie board before anything,
Yeah, of course.
you know,
Yeah.
thanks to Tom Moray. Excuse me. So it was an integral part of, my first exploration into the ocean.
Totally. And when I was doing it, of course, we're just riding small waves, but when you're watching what Shane's doing, they're riding waves that surfers can't ride. So that's what's kind of the most interesting thing is having access. It opens up your options basically in the ocean, riding slabs that are just, doubling up below sea level basically and gurgling. And he finds a way to kind of navigate it or not oftentimes.
Do you think that bodyboarding will be the way that you ride your last wave
Definitely.
on a boogie board?
I would say definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, yeah, I think I might go body surfing. I'm doing more body surfing now than ever, and I think body surfing continues to be engaging for me, and it will throughout the rest of your life. But at some point, that becomes athletically challenging, and a bodyboard would be the final destination.
Right. Maybe a canoe.
Yeah, not on a wave though.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me straight into my Duke, not to jump straight to the end of the show, but my Duke of the week,
Wow.
9-time world champion Mike Stewart just won the Shark Island Pro. I believe he is 61 years old, if I'm not, or Shark Island Challenge. I think he's 61. So, direct from Swellnet, the final paragraph of the article. Later in the evening, after winning, he stood with tears in his eye and crowned champion again 25 years after his first Shark Island Challenge victory in 2000. He described the experience as an out of body experience and the highlight of my whole life, quote unquote. I won't get into the weeds as to whether this kind of obsession is healthy or normal. If you're reading this, then you, like me, are suffering under a surf addiction to some degree, so we'll leave it as a testament as to what is possible, ... Or maybe Mike Stewart is just a freak. So Mike Stewart is coming in as my Duke of the Week for winning an event 25 years after his inaugural win and at the age of 61.
Shark Island is a trippy place. When I when I flew into Sydney in the 80s, I happened to just stay at a place in Cronulla looking down on Shark Island. And it's a really interesting little wave, or I don't know if it's little, but it's a very interesting situation. I'm watching it, by the way, 2025 Shark Island Challenge highlights on YouTube right now. And these guys are just getting pitted. And of course, Mike Stewart, this is, easy peasy for Mike Stewart. Oh my God. Some of these guys are doing some crazy ass shit.
So the wave is like the day they got it anyways. It's basically a slab with a bunch of steps in it. The day that they ran the event, it was 4 to 6 feet. There's a little bit of wind that made it a little challenging, but 4 to 6 feet. So not huge, but a small version of what you might, recognize as ship sterns or something like that. But I did see some footage of him that night on Instagram, and it was emotional. He was in tears doing his acceptance speech and all that sort of stuff. So I just thought it was pretty epic to be in your 60s still winning events.
Yeah, that guy's, he's probably, it's been said that he might be the greatest surfer of all time, which is a really interesting thought. If you actually go through the exercise of, okay, well, how do you define the greatest surfer? What does that mean? But
I'm not going to
sure
argue
the most barreled surfer for sure, right? And he's quite a traveler. He's one of these guys that chases swells and stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely not arguing against it. And incredible body surfer too. Like he's won a bunch of body surf events too. So,
well, I don't know, Mike, but everything I see about him and with him in it suggests to me that he reaches sort of that place that all of us should strive for, which is he's just a great human being. Who cares if he surfs or not? I certainly don't. I'm glad that he's just a wonderful human being. He seems to have such a sense of humility. And so, to that, I tip my cap to Mike Stewart.
And he has the respect of Kelly Slater, Mark Cunningham, like anybody who's expert in that space, he has their respect. So it says it all. So shout out Duke of the Week, Mike Stewart. Congrats. You earned it many times over.
Oh, good call.
And we don't bring him up often enough.
No. David, who said that? I've got a who said that for you. It's my
Great.
segment of the show where I try to stump you and the listeners. This one shouldn't, well, this could be interesting. We'll see. Who said that? And I quote, David, there were many skeptics and some people openly laughed. I thought I would have peaked years ago, but it made me competitive. I can't see it being a flash in the pan. A lot of people are making them wrong. It's complicated design. And one little thing can throw it off. And it can really turn you off on them if you don't get a hold of a good one. Was this, who said that, David? Was it A, Mark Richards on the twin fin? B, Shane Horan on the laser zap? 3, Peter Townend on the Bonzer? Or 4, Simon Anderson on the thruster?
A lot of people are making them wrong. MR.
That's a great suggestion, but you're
Damn
wrong. You're
Damn
wrong.
it.
Yeah, you were
I get that
wrong.
response every single time.
Well, I mean, you know, Simon Anderson said that in an interview that I gleaned off of Encyclopedia of Surfing, EOS.surf, Matt Warshaw's wonderful resource. So Simon Anderson on the thruster, yeah. He said that, David. That's right.
Amazing. Can't
I
even
don't know about
imagine a time
amazing's
prior.
probably overused word.
I can't imagine a time prior to the thruster, to be honest.
Well, I bring it up because there's the Stab article. I don't know if you saw the Stab article, 10 Shapers to Watch.
I kind of just looked at the names, but I didn't read anything.
Well, I think Holden Trinkle did it. Did I pronounce his name right?
Trinka.
Trinka. He's a great writer. And the whole crew over there does such a good job. But the thesis behind 10 Shapers to Watch is that there's a glaring absence of young, hungry performance surfboard shapers in the modern era. And he points to like Paizel and Biolos and DHD and the like, and because they sort of own the space regarding the high performance surfboard.
That is
along with Channel Islands and Sharp
Yeah.
Eye and those guys.
That is a fascinating premise. I hadn't considered that before. Like for young shapers who are getting into it, they are making alternative designs.
Yeah, and you get some pretty juicy quotes from Paizel and Biolos, basically, and you can read it. I don't want to butcher what they said, but basically, Biolos was like, look, everybody wants to make a retro fish with color, and they're probably not the greatest surfboard. The designs themselves probably could be better.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot more
but
forgiving designs.
but these people are making so much money margin wise on these boards, and there certainly is a demand for them. So Matt basically says, I don't blame them, but so then they go on to name 10 five shapers. They're going to do 5 shapers later. They name 5 shapers. I don't have it here in front of me. I can pull it up, but yeah, here they are. So they name Ben Webb. Have you ever heard of Ben Webb?
Yeah.
Ben Webb. They name, let's see. Oh, Brad Flora from Thrashcraft. Brad does the Boardroom Show, friend of the show, good surfer. All of these seem to be pretty good surfers, by the way.
Avalon Steric, who does Coco.
Yeah.
XO Coco.
Thank you. Yeah. Are you looking at it now?
No.
Avalon Steric, and I'm sorry, I'm ripping through it. Brendan Lucky Craft Surfboards.
Yeah.
From the Gold Coast. He made Kanoa Igarashi's Karamas winning Sharp Eye. The board that he won at Karamas, Kanoa won, that was made by, is it Brendan? Yeah, Brendan. And then one other, let's see here. Oh, very interesting. Keone Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Timmy Patterson's son.
Very cool.
Super fascinating. So he named those 5 guys. basically saying, hey, maybe these are 5 people that could step into the high performance shortboard zone and take over where these 60-year-old men have sort of put down they kind of own it. They own the
Yeah.
space. So,
I've got,
yeah, please go ahead.
well, no. I've got a question. A listener sent in a question that relates directly to that, if you want to address it for them.
I'll do my best.
It says, "Hey David, how about a chat with Scott about how to deal with shapers who are really hard to tie down and get boards from? I have a board I got from a local shaper that is my magic board. He was really good with communication to start, went a bit off the radar for a while, and then I got the call, picked up the board, and it was great. Now I want another board from him, and I'm getting no response to emails or phone calls. I'm torn as I want another board from him, but I'm finding it frustrating as hell. Cheers, Tim." I think we've all dealt with this.
We have, and I deal with this, like this isn't anything new. Even for, somebody who's kind of close to the source, so to speak. And my suggestion would be go buy a used board from that guy. Go find a used board from that person. What do you think about that theory?
I'm an advocate for it, but he still wants the new custom from that guy too. So I don't think that solves his problem.
Well, I mean, the other thing to do would be, hey, send him an email. Hey, I tried really hard. I've had to go another direction. I'm sorry. Don't be disappointed when you see me on the beach with something else under my arm.
A little bit of a threat.
I mean, I don't know. That might not be very good, but I mean, I wouldn't even do that. I would just go get another board from. There's other guys that make. That's kind of actually brings me to my point about this article. The idea that there's only 5 guys that can make high performance surfboards for the top 5 WCT surfers in the world is ridiculous. There are so many great shapers that could make really great boards right now today and hand them off to like Jack Robinson or Philippe Toledo or whoever. And those surfers would go out and win heats and do just as well as they do today on the boards they're riding today.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that.
Look, I'm being a little bit, I know there's nuance.
I think the point that you're making is those shapers can make great boards. The fine tuning of working with an athlete and getting the board that suits them is a little bit more specific. You don't think so?
Well, let me ask you this. If that's the case, why do they make 20 boards at a time and hand 20 boards to Mick Fanning if they're so good at doing it? Why not just make 2?
No, that's part of the fine tuning. Is there are 2 within that 20, but they're that finely tuned that they're going to figure out what the difference is between those.
Maybe
So
that's it.
I mean, I would love. I know you probably haven't been watching the Surf 100 series.
I watched 1 episode or 2 episodes of it, and then I just couldn't follow it.
Which one did you watch?
I watched
Huntington?
the Blacks. I watched the Blacks one.
Okay. So the most recent one was Rencon, and they made all the surfers ride Dumpster Diver 2.0s. And Ian Crane completely trashes the board, like talks crap on it. Basically, he gets out of the water and he's like, "This board sucks. Channel Island sucks." Like really kind of reads him the riot act.
No way, really? That's not cool.
Totally. Well, he apologized after the fact. He was really heated.
Yeah.
And then in the kind of exit interview, whatever, he says, "I apologize. I was just really emotional. At the time, I love all these people. These are my friends," kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But he does say that board catches on the nose. Like I just did a normal standard turn that I always do, and it catches on the nose, and I couldn't figure it out. And so that's where I'm talking about whatever Biolis is shaping for him. They've, figured that detail out as it relates to Ian's surfing specifically. And so Dane's style of surfing, who designed the 2.0 dumpster diver, doesn't need that detail, or it has a different detail, or whatever it is. So while they look the same to me, some are better suited than others for a certain type of surfing.
I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying that they're not. I don't think that they're. I know that there's a lot of nuance. I know that they're finely tuned surf craft. But I think what we're missing is that these surfers are the best surfers in the world. Like Jack Robinson is going to go out and surf good, and we've seen it. How many times have you and I watched Stab in the Dark and we're like, he's ripping on that board, he's ripping on that board, he's ripping also on that board, he's also ripping on that board. The guy rips.
Yeah.
Rob Machado, for example, Kelly Slater, all of these guys,
Yeah.
they can ride doors and they rip. And I'm not saying I don't, I do understand that what Matt and John and all these guys go through, it's for sure there's fine tuning and all that stuff's part of it. But my question is, like, if I threw some names out at you, do you think that if they focused their shaping careers on being a shaper for CT level surfers, that they could do it? And I'm going to throw a name out at you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ryan Birch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he could do it. Then why doesn't he?
You'd have to ask him. I have no idea.
Good answer. Well,
I mean, I don't think he's that interested in competition. I think that he's not interested in like replicating the refined thing over and over and over again. It seems like he's more interested in experimenting with a bunch of different things. But I would point
I don't know about that. You don't think he's refining what he's making?
I mean, he's definitely refining what he's making. That's not what I meant to say. I mean, if you look at his offerings, they're far and wide. He's making gliders all the way down to fish, all the way down to side cuts, and then the asymmetrical
Okay.
pickle fork thing.
How
Each of
about
those have,
Todd Proctor?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But then why
totally.
doesn't he?
I think Todd Proctor would like to. I think he just doesn't have a world tour athlete.
Exactly. So you nailed it. This is what I was getting to, right? Is that there are shapers that could be CT quality level shapers like the top, let's say six. Um, but they just don't have the marketing machine. They don't have the resources that you really have to kind of tie your, you have to, I guess there's a little bit of luck. Like you pick
There is, yeah.
a surfer that just happens to rise through the ranks and become insane. And I know that there are stories. I heard a story today about a female surfer that was tied, that a local shaper here in Oceanside built her boards from like the day she was like 8 years old all the way up until she made the CT, and then she just bailed.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's sad, but whatever. It's part of the deal, right? But I I just think that there's more. I think that marketing has as much to do with it as it does the nuance of the design. That, oh, I'm changing the single concave. I'm moving it up an inch and softening it here, and like, I know all that's important. I get it, but I think there's other things that are as or more important than the nuance of refining 20 different shapes and handing off 20 white blades to somebody and going, find the two that you like.
I agree with everything that you're saying. I think we are kind of saying the same thing in different ways, but I think that it overlooks a, a detail, which is the stats are undeniable that those who have multiple world titles have only worked with the same shaper for a decade plus.
I'm not doubting that either.
And so there
I
is
agree.
something there.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. But
But Proctor, if given an athlete who had world title potential and then work with that athlete for a decade, they can absolutely get to that place.
here's the problem, that another problem that we're not yet discussing, which is when you look at the big hitters, CI, Biolos, Channel Islands, Paizel, Sharp Eye, they have factories throughout the world. So if Kanoa, for instance, flies to Bali to surf in the Karamas Pro, on the way there, he can have the Sharp Eye in Australia make him 15 blades for that specific event. And he didn't even have to bring boards. He just flies in Australia, grabs 4 boards that he likes, tries them out, picks the 4 he likes, takes a 2-hour flight over to Bali, and away he goes. And that's the same, in Europe and in Africa and in, South America. Throughout the world, these guys have these outlets, if you will, distribution factories, if you will, that would just be so difficult for the Todd Proctors of the world. Even if he got one guy that was like, going to get him into that CT level zone, now he's got to go out and set up all these factories so that this guy can get, properly resourced.
Absolutely. Yeah. There is a barrier of entry. That is the biggest barrier of entry for surfboard manufacturers is scaling from cottage to global that in between land is where almost everybody mismanages.
I think it's a tough bridge to
It's a
cross.
it's been, yeah, incredibly difficult to cross, and then it's not guaranteed on the other side either. So,
So the idea that there's a glaring absence of young, hungry performance surfboard shapers in the modern era, which is the thesis behind Stab's article, I think it's just a little off. I think it's not that this performance surfboard shaper isn't out there. The Todd Proctors are out there. The Birches,
Tim
D-
Stamps.
Tim Stamps, great example, perfect example. Daniel Thompson, Dan Mann on some level. Here's another name. I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole. Valerie Duprat. Valerie could be making high performance surfboards for a WCT level surfer, male or female.
Yeah,
Of course, she
totally.
has a completely different job,
But she
and,
makes boards for, as far as I remember, her husband, and her husband rips,
and her kids.
and her kids. Yeah.
I think her daughters are quite successful in the local competitive circuit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the marketing dollars, making that bridge is kind of
Um,
crucial. And I think that's why some of these young surfers that start with a regional shaper, like Greg Sarich is a great example. He made Rob Machado's boards forever.
yeah.
And as soon as Rob got big, he went to CI because CI probably had marketing dollars to throw at. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone here. I would do the same if somebody's like, hey, sign me here for X amount of dollars. We got a big budget.
So Tim Stamps has told me that exact story too. He fosters a lot of talent in Huntington Beach area, and he's had that exact thing happen where he's working with them from they're 8 years old. By the time they hit 16 and they start winning nationals or whatever, they jump on to Channel Islands or something else. But for that kid, it also, I think, to them feels like validation because they loved Stamps and he got them to where they are. But then they get to that level and they're like, oh, this feels like a feather in my cap. And so, and like you said, they can probably supply. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if somebody at Tim Stamps level wants to be giving out 30 boards a year, to some kid who's going to be traveling the world.
Yeah, I can't afford to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that long-term relationships that defy everything that we're talking about. John Florence sticking with John Pizell and Caitlin Simmers sticking with Chris Borst.
Yeah. So Pizell is set up internationally. He has factories.
But to be like all of that was
Happened post. I agree. It happened post John.
Or it happened hand in hand.
Yeah, like as
John, for sure, John got offers over and over and
Yes.
over, and probably still up until very recently got paid offers from brands to come ride for them, and
Yes.
he opted not to take the money and stick with Pizell. And certainly the same thing has happened with Caitlin Simmers. And through it, of course, I would hope that Pizell, I mean, I would really think that a lot of Pizell would attribute a lot of his own success to the success of John and the Florence brothers. And Borst at this point, I would hope, is benefiting from Caitlin Simmers' success.
Yeah. If it's an interesting article, I would suggest you take it. It's mostly looking at these 10 shapers again, 5. They're going to put out the next 5. And of course, it's created a bit of a social media uproar as people are chiming in. What about me? What about him? What about my buddy? What about, that type of thing? I can't believe you didn't include blah, 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 that whole thing. But the point is there are a lot of really high quality surfboard shapers, which are young, which can make high performance surfboards that simply don't have the marketing legs to pull it off.
No, I mean,
it has nothing to do with a screen in your hand or a planer in your hand.
I totally agree with that. That marketing, financial, capital kind of limitations do limit the growth of the cottage surfboard shaper. But back to our listener call or listener email from Tim, I was going to suggest, I mean, I actually sympathize with the shaper in this scenario where he's wants a board from the shaper. Shapers, given the economic limitations that we're talking about, often get overwhelmed. They're doing the accounting, they're doing the sweeping, they're doing the shaping, they're doing the laminate. They don't have time to reply to emails at the end of the day. And if they've gotten busier and busier, now they have less time and not enough capital to hire somebody to do the emails. That's the exact thing that we're talking about. So I would venture a guess that the shaper that Tim is talking about is not lazy and drinking beer on the couch, not replying to your email. He's working 12 hours a day and not allowed, can't get around to your email. And he would love to take that order, but he's got a bunch in front of you, kind of a thing. So I would suggest show a little bit of grace, but maybe cap the number, give him 5 emails total. Follow up 4 times after that first email and let him know with increasing urgency each time, like, hey, buddy, I know you're busy, but I need a board and I got to go elsewhere. And after the 5th one, leave him alone. Maybe come back in a year or two, check in again. But 3 is adequate. 5 would be generous on your part. And if the shaper doesn't pick it up in 5, that's on him.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Maybe check the local lake. He might be fishing,
He deserves a day off.
A lot of these guys are fishermen.
He deserves a day off. Check the local links. He might be golfing, Scott.
Links or lake.
Have you been watching the J-Bay warm-ups?
I've watched Alan Cleland's and it was pretty amazing. And somebody sent me a thing yesterday. He goes, hey, is it just me or is J-Bay kind of boring? Is it like the wave pool? Does it seem boring? Which I thought was an interesting take. I never really looked at it like that.
Terrible take.
I said interesting. I was giving him some room to, I didn't. Anyway,
worst take I've heard in a long time.
Okay. Wasn't mine. It was not my take. It was a friend of mine's.
I understand where they're coming from, actually, but I disagree completely because I didn't see Al Cleland's waves that you're talking about, but seen plenty of Ethan Ewing, seen some Connor O'Leary, seen Jack Robinson, seen a bunch of other people out there. There isn't an explosive turn in the ride, rarely, or often there isn't.
You didn't watch Alan Cleland's.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Well, what I love about Ethan is how much there's going on, even when it's not explosive. Like he's doing a cutback and he's wrapping back and then like banking off, not quite banking off the whitewash, but the transition from the cutback into the non-bank or just the adjustment into the whitewash. Like I'm watching those little details going, oh, that's incredible. That was really precise. And then he's straight into a bottom turn. So I guess all of the linking between the maneuvers is actually more interesting to me. And the cameras are tight, like the way that they're shooting it, there's tons of information to glean. And there are 12 turns on a wave. Some of them are half turns, but all of that is poetry to me. And I'm just absorbing all of it, And when he kicks out, I don't remember any one turn that he did, but the adjustment from the bottom turn into a check into a barrel, I was like, oh, that was sick. Let me figure out how to do that, So not boring.
Yeah. No,
you have to be paying attention, but
I'm watching J-Bay right now on the Surfline cam. It looks pretty good. It's nighttime, but they have lights on this and it looks pretty fun. But yeah, you're right. It's not like, I think what you were getting at is that when we watch really good surfing at J-Bay, what we've seen is a ride. We've witnessed a ride. We haven't witnessed 2 turns and a cutback or what, like this, that, and that. You know what I mean? It's like one encompassing beautiful ride. That's when a good surfer has done his dance upon the face. One thing I will note, and I'm wondering what you think, it feels like at J-Bay, perhaps a slightly heavier board is a good call because of the wind chatter. There's oftentimes bump and chatter in the face at J-Bay. And I've never been to J-Bay, but I sense that just a slightly heavier, and I'm not saying a heavy surfboard, I'm just saying a slightly more, a board that has a little bit more like, I guess, velocity or drive down the wave face and through the turn, might be something that would help.
Thicker, more lamination, more cloth?
I just feel like I wouldn't want a real light surfboard.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm not even against saying longer. Like you started saying longer. When I think of the best surfing I've seen Kelly Slater do out there, it was back 10 years ago when he was riding longer boards. Andy Irons, a lot of his stuff that I remember, he was riding longer boards. I didn't recognize it at the time, but now when you see that footage posted from 10 years ago, you're like, wow, that extra line or extra rail line
Yeah.
looks sick.
Yeah.
I think Jordy kind of rides bigger boards out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the idea of a little bit bigger board, but for sure more weight, a little bit more weight.
Yeah. Um, who are you putting your money on based on what you've seen?
Well,
If
Ethan
you,
Ewing is a no-brainer. I would put money on Ethan Ewing to be there in the top four. Felipe, you kind of always have to throw him in. This early on, it's going to be pretty big.
yeah, the forecast looks solid, right?
Yeah. Um, I frankly, I like backside surfers there because they can kind of get that more vertical approach, snapping into it backside, whereas the front siders are kind of out in front of it, doing more of a roundy kind of top turn, whereas there's a snappy sort of Matt Wilkinson vibe. You mentioned Connor O'Leary. He's a guy I think has that really powerful backside hack. So I look out for the backsiders that have
So,
powerful hacks.
okay, so I'm going to give you two, maybe dark horse picks. Maybe not,
Yeah.
given the season.
Yago is not a dark horse.
No, but based on what you're talking about, the backside thing, Cole
Yeah.
Houshman.
Oh, very good choice. Very good choice.
Cole's got the power to match the wave. He's got the timing. His timing's insane. Um,
You
it's
know
kind
what? We need to see another excellent performance from him so that we can kind of go, okay, yeah, he has arrived. You know what I mean?
totally. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like Aki isn't a fair comparison. Aki, I only think Aki because of the size of the legs, but they don't surf very similarly. But I don't know of anybody else who kind of surfs like Cole that I've seen surf out there before. But it seems like he would be perfectly suited for that wave. Coming off of a win, of course, he's in 12th place. It'd be interesting. 10,000 points would put him up above the final five cutoff line. So this could be,
Really?
well, I guess once you adjust for these points, maybe not.
Yeah.
But he could definitely, I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. My
8 to
other,
12 foot J Bay with the big, powerful, goofy foot with a lot of momentum and probably feeling real good about where he's at. Well, that's why it's always fun to watch the guy who just won an event in the following event, just because where's his headspace? Is he like off relaxed and partying and he kind of got his win and okay, sophomore slump, so to speak? Or is he like, razor focused, ready to go?
I mean, we've seen him come 17th multiple times, but I feel like his head game is always there.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen him necessarily be like rattled by his opponent or something like that. The other underdog that I would suggest sits right in front of him in 11th position, and that's Leonardo Fioravanti.
It wouldn't surprise me, he has this ability to kind of drop off of our radar a little bit and then just show up and get a third or
I
something
think
like that.
his surfing is so complete, and J-Bay is notorious for exposing people's kind of shortcomings. I feel like his surfing is so complete, he will charge through and take advantage of those who maybe have the pacing wrong or picked the wrong board or athleticism isn't fully there. He's got all that stuff dialed. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in finals day making the quarters or something like that. I don't think he's as, explosive of a surfer as maybe a Geordie or somebody like that, but I could see him there on finals day.
Well, speaking of pacing, which is extremely important at J Bay, understanding how the wave moves and being able to kind of hold back when wait for it instead of run out in front, which is something I would do. I'd be running way out in front of that thing. The guy who just won the Bolito Pro, the young South African, I think his name's Luke. It might be Thompson.
I don't know. I saw that happened. I did not know who he was. That's the first
I
I've
don't
ever heard
either,
of
but
him.
he's got a wild card. So there's one that could be could throw some upset into the early rank, the top five guys. They could see him in one of the first heats of the event and get shocked.
Yeah.
Get shocked from fifth, move down to eighth or something like that.
Luke Thompson is his name. I just looked.
Luke Thompson. Yeah.
One other somebody that has come up in the free surf conversation that I've heard people talking about is your boy Jake Marshall.
Yeah, Jake's got, I mean, he's like, believe it or not, he's kind of a veteran now on tour.
But the wave suits him really well. He's so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that I wouldn't either. And I'd love to see him win J-Bay. That would be sick.
Those are my picks.
Speaking of Jake Marshall and Sharp Eye Surfboards, going back to what we were talking about earlier, Taylor Clark. Do you know Taylor Clark?
Yep.
Good, great surfer. Should have been on the CT, frankly. And he now shapes for Sharp Eye.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a shaper for Sharp Eye. So he's kind of got this, like, it would be impossible for Taylor Clark, unless he got some massive backing somehow from some people, to go out and set up Taylor Clark surfboards.
Yeah.
But through Sharp Eye, he's getting nurtured and he's getting tutelage under Marcio, who's probably the incredible guy to get some mentoring under. And he's going to have international relationships. He's meeting all these people in all of these Sharp Eye factories around the world. And he's going to build up, I guess, a brand. Taylor Clark's the shaper for Sharp Eye,
So, what's interesting? Not only is he getting tutelage to be shaping wise, Marcio as a businessman is a great person to work under, because Marcio came over with nothing and started at the bottom, and he's built this incredible international business and fought his way into one of those top 5 positions, where those brands were established for 20 and 50 years before he showed up.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, he grinded for like 20 years before he got the Kanoa connection, like really.
Felipe connection came.
Oh yeah, Felipe. I'm sorry, Felipe. Yeah. That was it. So anyway, Taylor Clark's. So that's another model regarding the Stab article and that used to be a thing. Like with Rusty, everyone used to know, oh man, you go to Rusty, you get Rick Hammond to shape you a board, man. That's insane. You know what I mean? Like that's a great sort of example of that model where you can stay within a brand. CI, of course, has Brit. I don't know who else CI has, but does Paizel have somebody that's underneath him, that's working up underneath him? I don't know. I'm sure they do.
For sure.
And so it's kind of like that, like that's the model. If you're going to be a young, hot, high performance shaper, do you go out on your own and really you're going to be up against a massive marketing wall, or do you slide in underneath within a company that has that whole thing already laid out in spades, and all you got to do is slide in?
So another example that sits adjacent to everything that we've been talking about as a business model is Eden Saul at Dead Kooks has done a phenomenal job of building an internationally recognized brand without setting up factories all around the world. And the way that he has done it is he's Johnny Appleseed. He travels around the world, fostering relationships, and comes in, builds boards in that community himself, partners with glass shops. Like last time I saw him in Southern California, he was at Matt Biolis's factory at Basham's, shaping boards there, just rents a shaping bay, lets them laminate a batch of boards, takes them down to Moonlight laminates boards. So it's not as if there is competition coming in and taking over shelf space, having manufactured the product elsewhere. He's showing up as a shaper and then spreading money locally through the laminators and all that sort of stuff, but still planting his seed of Dead Kook surfboards everywhere that he goes around the world. And then that also allows him to do what we all want to do, which is go spend time in Japan and Europe and Australia, Hawaii, California, all of it.
Well, look, he's, Eden's just doing what many, many, many shapers have been doing for decades. But I'm talking about the Stab thing, is that there's a glaring absence of young, hungry performance surfboard shapers. The question is, who's going to take the spot of the Lost, the Paisels, the Sharp Eyes? Is there going to, or are we just kind of like, is this the top 5 forever? Channel Islands, Lost, Sharp Eye, Paisel. Who am I missing here? I'm probably missing some others.
JS.
Oh, DHD, JS. Yeah. The Australian. Sorry. Yeah. And Kabianka, perhaps Timmy. Yeah. So I don't mean to forgive me if I've forgotten your name in this conversation, but there are others out there, but it's a small list relative to the thousands of shapers that are out there, right?
You
It's
know
a
what?
pretty small list.
You know what'd be interesting too? We'd have to spend more time thinking about it, but what names have fallen off that list? Because there was
Yeah.
when I was a
Well,
kid,
Rusty comes to mind.
Rusty for sure was in that conversation. I mean, Rusty had 16 of the top
Oh man.
44 at
In
one
the
point.
late 80s, he was the hottest thing ever
Yeah. Oh,
from a world championship tour standpoint.
not on that level, but WRV. When I was a kid, I saw tons of WRV around the world.
Yep.
Um, some Hawaiian shapers for sure would be in that conversation. I mean, Eric Arakawa never really tried to be on that level, but TNC maybe in the 80s.
Yep. Yep.
So there's others.
Maybe Simon? Hmm.
Simon always had the prestige, but he wasn't at that level of international manufacturing with a bunch of team riders.
Maybe Greg Weber. What's an insight like Barton? Who's making Tom Carroll's boards?
I think Tom Carroll won his title on a Rusty, actually.
Was it Byrne?
Yeah, Byrne was doing them. Obviously, Rawson made the pipe stuff.
Yeah, so he didn't really have one specific. Anyway, yeah, it's because it's interesting to go back, and history will teach us a lot. And maybe
Local
it feels
Motion.
like it's Local Motion
Local Motion had a bunch in the 80s and 90s for sure.
on the world tour.
Sonny Garcia.
All right. That was what? Rob Burns
I'm not sure.
and Pat Rawson were Local Motion. I think Rob Burns and Pat Rawson, I think. Don't
Yeah.
quote me. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but well, Channel Islands is the name that I forget. So Channel Islands has been there forever. Like they've been the long running
50
one,
years.
right?
Yeah. Over 50 now.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Well, moving on, unless you had anything else about J-Bay, which starts in 10 hours, by the way, presuming this swell delivers when the sun comes up, it'll be starting in about 10 hours from when we're recording this.
Yeah.
I have a must-see moment presented by Trees Wax, if you're interested.
Of course.
Trees Wax, by the way. Oh, shoot. We have a promo code from Trees Wax. I forgot to tell people. For anybody who has been, hearing us talk about it, but just never jumped on the bandwagon. Promo code, where is it? I want to just say it's Spit. Give me 1 second. It's actually not a promo code. It is Spit, not case sensitive, or you could link directly to treeswax.com/discount/spit, and you get 20% off your order of Treeswax, which is the only petroleum-free surf wax. And they're also offering a money-back guarantee online. So if you order from their website and for whatever reason aren't happy, you can return it. So go to treeswax.com/discount/spit, or just use promo code SPIT when you check out. Must-see moment. Have you seen this kid, James Cusantino, at Cloudbreak?
No.
Okay. This kid, Stab Magazine did a write-up on him, and then Former. I think they did the write-up because...
Is he a local kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Former just sponsored him. His 16-year-old kid from Fiji.
Yeah.
The
I've seen him in
write-up
action out there. He's gnarly.
is insane. So this is the most kind of natural connection with a wave that I have seen maybe ever. His name's James Cusatino. He's on Instagram. Former just sponsored him, and then Stab Magazine wrote an article about that. And the article is written by Christian, I'll think of his name in a second, Christian Bocut. And did a great job writing the article, partially because he gave great context about the abolishing of the exclusivity surf rights, So when James grew up, he was not allowed to surf Cloudbreak. He would surf his local wave, and then he would try to get out there and they'd boot him. And now it's open up to even the locals couldn't surf it. So they've abandoned or abolished those exclusivity rights to people staying on Tavarua. And James is basically, he is so tuned in to that wave. He is doing backside tube riding like we've never seen before, literally sitting down in the tube. Like he'll take off super languid and like gumbeat out and then shift into parallel stance while he's in the tube. Foam ball rocks him. He'll take a seat on his surfboard with his feet in front of him, come out of the tube, get back up. It's insane. And this is just a quote. I think this quote might actually be from Craig Anderson. He said, James's backside tube riding was the, oh no, sorry, this is Christian's words from the article. James' backside tube riding was the platonic ideal of surfing. Functional, relaxed, graceful, devoid of any of the common physiological cliches that other younger surfers pick up by competing against one another in California or Australia. It's as if we were to get a glimpse at as if a surfer was created in a vacuum who is left to color cloud break on his own terms. Craig Anderson said, to me, James is the most gifted 16-year-old surfer on the planet. It is just poetry to watch. I highly encourage you. Again, must-see moment presented by Trees Wax. Go watch James. Anytime, now that I follow him on Instagram, I'm like, anytime this footage pops up, I'm glued.
Well, I'm a big fan of this kid, and yeah, I'm going to watch it. It's your must-see moment presented by Trees Wax. Why wouldn't you?
A couple of takeaways that I have for you. Access is key. Like the idea of being able to surf cloud break anytime it's 4 feet and above, you're going to get better at surfing.
Yeah, that wave is incredible. Frankly, that whole region is like, it's the ultimate surf trip. Tavarua Island. It's so nice.
So the other key takeaway for me out of this article was the idea of being uninfluenced by contests or surfing to an expectation is kind of interesting. Like if you grow up in a surf mecca, there is a homogenation that happens. Just you're hanging out with your peers, you want to be like your peers, you're trying to chase what they're doing. The idea of growing up in a vacuum, I mean, it's not an entire vacuum, of course, because there's a lot of traveling surfers coming, but the idea of no industry, no contest, no none of that is kind of interesting.
It is. And it's good to see somebody. He's kind of got like a Buttons vibe, you know?
His look, oh, and his style too. You're right.
His whole thing, his whole like just his like, woo, free spirit. Like there's a whole free spirit Buttons vibe, and it comes, that all shows up in his surfing.
The approach to wave riding itself is very Buttons like. Great call. Buttons 2.0.
Well, let's just call him James.
We always like to have a reference point.
What's his nickname? He must have a good nickname.
I don't know, but it's funny that what we love about him is the uninfluenced,
Yes.
And now we're already trying to trap influence on top of him.
Right, exactly. Let's keep his authenticity authentic.
I like it. My final thought question for you is, he talked about wanting to go to, or he's already got a trip planned to Chopu later in the year. And he wants to surf pipe. He wants to get invited to the Eddy one day. My question for you is, will he be able to translate these mystical powers to other waves around the planet?
I think in free surfs he will. How it relates to competitive surfing, I don't know. Competitive surfing's a whole nother beast, and which is why we have competitions and why we like competitions, because there's something about competition that it's not for everybody, but it really tests your mental fortitude. And so I don't know what he's like with the jersey on. It's hard to say. And I don't necessarily don't need to see it. Like I'd rather just see him free surf.
Even just free surfing at Chopu, will he be able to translate his skills?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree. Well, I'm voting wild card James Cusatino next year, Cloudbreak.
Nice.
Get him in there.
I love it. Well, look, what else is going on? What else do you got for us? Anything?
I think that is all that I've got for today. Oh, we should probably tell people, did you get a package from AG1 this past week or two?
No.
Okay. Maybe we save this conversation, but I'll tease it right here.
Yeah.
If you want, by the way, they've reformulated. Go to drinkag1.com/surf. Get your AG1. If you're already on the bandwagon, you will get the reformulation already. But the package that I got this past week is AGZ for sleeping.
Oh.
I'm sure they're going to send it to you too. It's a sleep aid. Like it doesn't make me I'm on night 3, or last night was my 3rd night. Mix it, drink it before you go to sleep. It's like chocolate flavor. I've had the best nights of sleep the last 3 nights with no grogginess. Like equivalent to if I take Z-Quil or something like that, but without the grogginess.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
look for that. I don't think it's on their website. I'm saying it right now to the public, but you can't get it, I don't think, but I'm sure they're going to release it shortly. But game changer. Not that I have a
well,
problem sleeping, but just like I like
yeah,
a hard deep sleep, you know.
sure. Um, I will say this before we go that I spoke with Eric Arakawa recently. I think I told you he's got a list of shapers that he's chosen to honor him in the shape off. Icon of Foam shape off. Eric Arakawa is our icon of foam. So competing as of now are Richie Collins,
Love it.
Todd Proctor, Rodolfo from Peru. I don't have his last name. Dan Mann is going to be competing. And of course, Alan White, who's the East Coast shape off winner during Surf Expo this year. And then there's two more that he's going to be picking. So we're getting close to having all 8 shapers. And when we do, we'll do a little rundown on who they are and what they're about.
Rudolfo Klima.
Thank you. That was it. Rudolfo Klima.
Pretty exciting. Great. You know what? Some years there's kind of the same shapers that do multiple years in a row because they're kind of at the top of their game, but this is a total mixed up new offerings.
I know. And when I was reading the stab thing, I was like, God, we got to get some of these shapers in the shape off, you know?
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, great show, Scott. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Until next time, David, adios and aloha.